My name is Stephanie. Standing in the middle of my now-secured lake house, looking out at the peaceful water, I'm reminded of the storm that once raged within my family. It all came to a head in that fateful Sunday dinner, a moment that shattered the illusion of family harmony I had clung to for so long. It was a typical Sunday at the family dinner table. The roast sat cold on my plate as my brother, Ethan, passed his phone around like a prize. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, were beaming. Dad clapped Ethan on the back and said, "That old lake house was just sitting there, gathering dust." Little did I know, they were celebrating my loss. My phone buzzed with an escrow wire request for $740,000. My property, the deed with my name on it, was being sold without my consent. Ethan nonchalantly slid the contract towards me and said, "Innovate Tech Solutions needs this capital. Sometimes you have to let go of underperforming assets." That underperforming asset was the lake house where I'd spent countless summers, the place I'd renovated with my own two hands. My sister, Lily, chimed in, "The movers are booked for Thursday." Ethan showed me the confirmation. I set down my fork, the only sound in the suddenly tense room. Mom said, "You're being quiet, Stephanie. This is great for Ethan and the family. Innovate Tech could be huge." Ethan's third startup in 5 years, and the previous two had crashed and burned, taking $340,000 of my parents' retirement savings with them. My phone buzzed again, an email from the escrow company asking for identity verification documents I'd never submitted. The contract had a signature that looked like mine but wasn't, and the notary seal was dated from a time when I was in New York for a business conference. Mom snapped, "You're being selfish. This is about family." That's when I thought of the mental ledger I'd been keeping. For 8 years, Ethan's ventures had overshadowed every family gathering. My achievements were brushed aside, and any celebration was hijacked by his latest scheme. He'd borrowed money, used my car, and stayed in my apartment rent-free, and I'd always kept quiet for the sake of family peace. But then, I remembered my friend, Maya. She was the CEO of Summit Title Company, my college roommate, and my maid of honor at my wedding. She'd given a beautiful toast about loyalty and choosing our real family. I excused myself to the bathroom and called her. "Everything okay?" she asked. I told her about the property sale and asked her to pull the file. After some keyboard clicks and a sharp intake of breath, she said, "Stephanie, when did you list this property?" I said I hadn't. She then found out that the signatures weren't mine and that the notary date was when I was out of state. She immediately put a hold on the transaction and started an investigation. When I returned to the dining room, Ethan was showing Dad something on his laptop. My phone rang. It was Maya's office. I put it on speaker. The fraud investigation team had found significant irregularities in the documentation. Ethan's face turned white as a sheet. Maya informed us that the person who initiated the transaction, Ethan, had to come to the office for questioning on Monday, and they'd also contacted the state attorney general's office. Ethan whispered, "You called them." I snapped back, "You forged my signature." Mom tried to defend him, saying it was just a lake house, and he needed the money for his startup. But I knew it was fraud, plain and simple. I stood up and said, "The closing is frozen. The transaction is void. I've invested 8 years in this false sense of family peace, but I'm done. Family isn't about blood. It's about respect and loyalty." I picked up my phone and took a picture of the contract as evidence. I left the house that night, ignoring Mom's panicked calls. At home, I started documenting everything: the timeline of the fraud attempt, the evidence I'd collected, and all the text messages from Ethan and my family trying to convince me to drop it. Maya called later that night with more bad news for Ethan. The notary seal was stolen, and he'd given the buyers a fraudulent earnest money check. The buyers were talking about suing him for damages. On Monday, I went to Maya's office. Ethan arrived with Mom and a fancy lawyer. The fraud investigation team, including Maya, her compliance officer Sarah, and a representative from the Attorney General's office, started asking Ethan questions. Each answer built a stronger case against him. After 40 minutes, Maya showed him a picture of my wedding. He was supposed to be at a business meeting but was actually in Las Vegas at a poker tournament. His face lost all color. The legal proceedings lasted 4 months. Ethan was charged with felony fraud, forgery, and theft. His lawyer negotiated a plea deal: guilty plea, restitution, probation, and community service. Innovate Tech never launched, and investors pulled out when the fraud became public. My parents and Lily tried to reach out, saying I was being too harsh, but I didn't respond. 2 years have passed. The lake house is more peaceful now. I've changed the locks and updated the security. I've saved $180,000 by not funding Ethan's lifestyle. I'm using that money to buy the property next door and convert it into transitional housing. My phone stays silent. There are no calls or texts from my family. But the silence is not a void. It's a space filled with the freedom to choose my own family, Maya, my attorney Mark, and all those who respect me. Ethan's attempt to steal my property taught me that some investments are better left behind, and true family is built on respect, not blood.